You are sitting at the head of a table that seats 22 men. Every one of them would die for you without being asked. Every one of them would also kill you without hesitation if they knew your real name. It is 11:47 p.m. in Culiacan. The room smells of expensive cologne and gun oil. Someone is pouring tequila. Someone else is laughing at something that isn't funny. The man to your right has killed more people than he can accurately remember. He is showing you a photo of his daughter's birthday party on his phone. You look at the photo and smile and say the right thing. You have been saying the right thing for 9 years, 4 months, and 11 days. Your actual name, the one on your actual birth certificate, the one your mother uses, the one attached to the $34,000 in student loans you took out at 22, you haven't said out loud in so long that sometimes, at 3 a.m., you have to remind yourself what it is. That's not a metaphor. That is a clinical symptom with a name that your FBI psychologist has written in your file 17 times. Stage 1, the nobody, year 0, age 24. You are sitting in a windowless room in a federal building in Phoenix. 2 agents across a table. No names given. No badges shown. The pitch takes 11 minutes. You time it because timing things is what you do when you're nervous and don't want to show it. The cartel needs accountants. Not hitmen. Not drivers. People who can make $30 million disappear into paper and emerge clean on the other side. People with innocent faces and spreadsheet minds who don't look like what they are. You look exactly like what they need. You are 24. You have a criminology degree, $80,000 in debt, and a job analyzing criminal patterns for $35,000 a year in a government office where the coffee machine has been broken for 4 months. They tell you the survival rate. 15 out of 100 undercover operatives in cartel infiltrations make it out alive. They give you exact numbers because they already know you respond to exact numbers. You ask for 24 hours to decide. You call your mother that night. Don't tell her anything. Just listen to her voice. File it somewhere you hope you'll be able to access later. The next morning you say yes. You don't tell anyone why. The real reason is the one you don't examine too closely, that your life has felt like a waiting room for 3 years and you are tired of waiting. Stage 2, the trainee, months 1 to 6. You learn Northern Mexican Spanish in a facility you are not told the location of. Not textbook Spanish. Real Spanish. The specific profanity of Sinaloa. The way certain words get swallowed at the end of sentences. The rhythm of a conversation between men who trust each other. You practice until your instructor stops correcting you and starts just listening. You learn to shoot. You are terrible at it. Your instructor says you have pianist hands, not hitman hands. This is meant as a critique. You file it as a relief. You are not being trained to kill. You are being trained to survive around people who kill without thinking about it. The most important thing you learn is how to lie while looking someone directly in the eyes. Not the mechanics of lying, you learn the internal experience of it. How to believe your own story while you're telling it. How to generate real emotion on top of fabricated facts so that what the other person reads in your face is genuine even when the words are completely false. Your instructor calls this method immersion. You call it something you don't have a word for yet. By month 6 you can lie to someone for 40 minutes without a single physiological tell. You practice on your FBI contact. He says it's impressive. Then he looks slightly uncomfortable, the way people look when they've just watched someone demonstrate a skill that should be unsettling. You don't reassure him. Stage 3, the replacement, month 7. Your entry into the organization comes through a cousin of your mother who launders money for the cartel. The cousin has a car accident. Goes into a coma. The FBI tells you it has nothing to do with them. You decide not to ask questions you don't want answered. You show up in Culiacan with forged credentials and a cover story you have rehearsed 200 times. An accountant from Monterrey. Reliable references, all fabricated. A past that exists completely in documentation and nowhere in reality. The office where you are interviewed looks exactly like a legitimate accounting firm. Desks, computers, a coffee machine that actually works, one detail that somehow surprises you. The man who interviews you asks 12 questions. 3 of them are traps. You identify them all and navigate around them without appearing to notice them. You get the job. Your first night alone in the apartment the FBI has rented for you, you sit on the floor with your back against the bed and call your contact from a burner phone. You don't say anything for a moment. He doesn't either. Then you say, "I'm in." He says, "Don't get comfortable." You hang up. Sit in the silence of a city that doesn't know you exist. You think about your actual name. It still comes easily. Stage 4, the numbers man, months 8 to 18. The work is exactly what you trained for and nothing like what you imagined. No weapons. No violence. Just numbers. $30 million a month flowing through 47 shell companies across 12 countries. Restaurants reporting more food sold than they could physically produce. Laundries processing more clothing than exists in the neighborhood. Car dealerships selling vehicles to people who don't exist. You are good at it. Genuinely, naturally good. The same pattern recognition that made you valuable to the FBI makes you valuable here. You find inefficiencies. Suggest improvements. Your boss notices. You pass your first intelligence to your contact at 4:17 a.m. 3 weeks in, standing in a gas station bathroom with a burner phone. Shell company structures. Routing patterns. 3 bank accounts with direct connections to officials whose names appear in no public record. Your contact is quiet for a long time. Then, "This is more than we've gotten in 2 years of trying." You flush the phone. Drive back to the apartment. Eat breakfast. Go to work. You are 2 people simultaneously for the first time. It feels, in those early months, like a superpower. You don't know yet that it is also the thing that will take the longest to heal. Stage 5, the trusted one, year 2. The boss calls you in on a Friday at 11 p.m. Tomorrow. A ranch outside the city. Important people. Listen. Don't ask questions. The drive is 3 hours in an armored SUV with blacked-out windows. You count the turns without moving your eyes. 73 minutes of highway. 14 minutes of unpaved road. 2 stops that feel like checkpoints. The ranch house looks like something from an architecture magazine. Inside, 7 men. The kind of men whose names appear in classified documents at the highest levels of 3 different governments. At the head of the table, the boss of bosses. You have seen his face in blurry surveillance photographs. In person, he is shorter than expected. His eyes are the eyes of someone who has watched many people die and slept well afterward. He looks at you for 30 seconds without speaking. Then, "So, you're the numbers man?" "Yes, sir." "Good. We needed a smart one." That night you memorize more operational intelligence than the FBI has collected in a decade. Transport routes. Politicians on payroll. DA contacts working for the other side. You call your contact at 4 a.m. He stays silent for a full minute after you finish. Then, "You just signed their death warrants. And possibly your own. Good work." You hold the phone for a moment after he hangs up. You think about the 30-second silence. The eyes that have watched many people die. You realize you are no longer afraid of him. You realize you are not sure when that happened. Stage 6, the witness, year 3. The purges begin. 3 real informants are caught in 6 months. Each one is interrogated for days before being killed. Their bodies are left where people will find them. The message is simple and complete. The boss invites you personally to watch one interrogation. "I want you to see how we deal with rats." It is not an invitation. The basement smells of bleach and something underneath bleach that bleach is failing to cover. The man in the chair has been there for 9 hours before you arrive. He has already said everything he knows. He is now saying things he is inventing because invention is the only thing left that might make it stop. You stand in that basement for 9 hours. You do not show disgust. You do not show fear. You do not show anything. Because if you show anything, you are next. You get home at 6 a.m. and vomit for 20 minutes. You look in the mirror and begin a calculation you will perform every morning for the next 7 years. Is the person looking back at you still the person you started as? Or is that person now a role being performed by someone whose name you have to remind yourself of at 3 a.m.? That morning, still you. Mostly. You file your report. Include specific details the FBI uses to locate and seize a facility 3 weeks later. You tell yourself the math works. That what happened in the basement is the cost of what happens 3 weeks later. You are not wrong. You are also not right. Both things are true simultaneously, and you learn to carry them without resolving them. Stage 7, the calculator, year 4. The boss trusts you with operational decisions. You know when shipments move. You know which politicians will be eliminated. You know date, time, method, and target for 17 planned operations in a 6-month period. Each piece of intelligence you pass creates a choice. If you pass the location of a planned assassination, you save one life. But the hit doesn't happen and the boss begins looking for a leak. He finds someone. That someone is not you. But they are someone. If you don't pass the location, one person dies. But you stay in position to prevent the next 17. You do this math. Cold. Completely cold. You let 7 people die that year. 7 people with names and families and specific futures that ended on specific dates because you calculated that their lives were worth less than your continued access. Your contact tells you that you made the right calls. That the operational intelligence you provided led to seizures worth $200 million and 47 mid-level arrests. That you are the most valuable asset the FBI has ever placed inside a criminal organization. You write the 7 names in a notebook you keep in a place only you know about. You look at them sometimes. Not for guilt. Guilt would be too simple. Just to make sure the names stay specific. That the 7 don't become a number. That the calculation stays a calculation about people and not about units. Some nights it works. Stage 8, the almost, month 46. There are 3 days in month 46 where you seriously consider not going back. Not defecting. Not switching sides formally. Just not returning one Sunday evening when you are sitting in a park in Phoenix at the end of a debrief weekend, eating a sandwich, watching a family throw a frisbee in the distance. The cartel pays you well. Respects you. Protects you. Calls you family. The FBI uses you. Debriefs you. Returns you. The thought that staying is the reasonable choice is present for 72 hours with a clarity that frightens you more than anything that has happened in the basement, or at the ranch, or in the blacked-out SUV. What brings you back is a photograph. Your contact sends it without explanation. A girl. 6 years old. Big eyes. Sitting in a room that is clearly an institution of some kind. Sad smile of someone who doesn't understand why she has no family. Her father was one of the 3 informants caught in the purges of year 3. You look at the photograph for a long time. Then you go back. You never tell your contact that you almost didn't. Some things, if said out loud, become real in a way that makes them harder to contain. Stage 9, the trap, year 5. The FBI needs a location. The final piece for the takedown. The boss has changed his patterns. Moves every 3 days. Trusts no one completely. Not even you. You manufacture a reason. Tell him you found an anomaly in the accounts. Internal theft. Someone trusted is skimming. You need to see him urgently. He gives you a location. You pass it to the FBI. What you don't know, the boss has been watching you for weeks. The nervous questions. The eyes that have changed. He gives you a false location. When the DA convoy arrives at an empty building, the boss knows. He doesn't move immediately. He lets you go to the meeting. Lets you wait 3 hours in an empty building not understanding what's wrong. Lets you drive home thinking something went wrong but at least you're alive. He lets you believe for 3 weeks that you're safe. Then your phone rings at 3:47 a.m. His voice. Too calm. 4 words. I need to see you. He hangs up before you answer. You sit on the edge of the bed. Your wife doesn't move. She's been sleeping with earplugs for months because your nightmares wake her up. She doesn't know she married someone whose real life is happening somewhere else. You get dressed in silence. Pants. Shirt. The jacket you wear when you know it could be a long day or the last one. You kiss her forehead without waking her. You get in the car. Stage 10, The Reckoning, Year 6, Final. The interrogation lasts 8 hours. No physical torture. Not yet. Just questions. His eyes across the table. The same eyes from the ranch 4 years ago, but different now. Now they are the eyes of someone who has been deceived by someone he chose. You decide what to tell him. Not everything. But enough. Because it doesn't matter anymore. Because 6 years of being two people simultaneously has a weight that you've been carrying alone, and confessing feels like setting it down, even if setting it down is also dying. You tell him about the $200 million. The 3 labs. The 47 arrests. The 9 hours in the basement that you stood through without showing anything. The 7 names in the notebook. You don't give him your contacts. Those you take to wherever this ends. By the time you finish, the sun is coming through the window. He is quiet for a long time. Then he laughs. Genuine. Real. You know what's funny? If you'd asked me 6 years ago for a job, I'd have paid you double. You could have been actually rich. Instead, you chose to be the government's dog. He stands. Walks toward you. Crouches until his face is inches from yours. I could make this last days, he says quietly. But you lasted 6 years. No more last 6 years. That takes something I respect even when I hate it. He stands up. Walks to the door. Rest. Tomorrow we decide. The helicopters come at 6:47 a.m. 47 minutes. 200 federal agents. The boss is dead. 23 of his men dead or arrested. You are in a medevac helicopter, dehydrated and beaten but alive, watching the compound get smaller through the window. You think about the girl in the photograph. You think about the 7 names in the notebook. You think about your wife's forehead under your lips at 3:47 a.m. when you didn't know if you'd come back. You think about your actual name. It still comes. Slower than before. But it still comes. Closing, 20 to 2030. 6 months later you have a new name. A new city. A new life built from scratch in a place no one from either of your previous lives can find. Your wife knows some of it now. Not everything. Some truths are too large to hand to someone whole. You give her pieces and let her build what she can from them. The girl in the photograph was adopted 8 months after the operation. She is 12 now. She smiles in the photos your contact sends every few months through a channel that technically no longer exists. She doesn't know she has a family because a man spent 6 years forgetting his own name. Some nights you wake up at 3:47 a.m. and reach for a phone that isn't there. Some mornings you stand in front of the mirror for a long time before the face looking back feels like yours. Your therapist says it gets better. 2 years out and the mirror is easier than it was. But sometimes, in the specific silence of 3 a.m. in a city that doesn't know you, you catch yourself thinking in the cadence of a man who no longer exists. And for just a moment you are not sure which one is the real you. And which one was always the performance. Somewhere tonight a new candidate is sitting in a windowless room in a federal building. 2 agents across the table. No names given. No badges shown. The pitch takes 11 minutes.